Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! In an instant, his world tilted on its axis. An email, its arrival unnoticed until now, brought chilling news alongside the bitter taste of cold coffee. Meridian Consulting, a company he had poured his expertise into for almost a decade, was restructuring. In an instant, his career as a senior financial analyst was deemed obsolete, a fact that left Matthias Blackwood numb. Staring at the impersonal words, positions eliminated, regretful terminations, he felt frozen. The only sound breaking the silence was the relentless ticking of the clock, each second marking the end of his professional journey. His normally immaculate short blonde hair, usually a result of a meticulous morning routine, now felt like a mockery, as any motivation to maintain appearances had evaporated. The navy blue tie around his neck felt constricting, and he loosened it with a frustrated tug. A gentle knock on the doorframe pulled him from his daze. His wife, Helena, stood there, her expression already conveying that she'd somehow guessed what had happened. "The restructuring?" she asked, stepping into the room. Matthias nodded, gesturing helplessly at the screen. "Effective immediately. They're expressing their mail within the hour." Helena moved behind him, placing her hands on his shoulders. Her fingers worked expertly against the tension that had formed there, a skill honed from her years as a physical therapist before transitioning to her current role as regional director for a healthcare network. "We'll figure it out," she said, her voice calm and steady. "My promotion came through last month. We have savings. This isn't the end of the world." Matthias knew she was right, but the reality of his situation still stung. He'd always defined himself through his work, the reliable provider, the ambitious professional. Now, that identity had been stripped away with a single corporate decision. The next few days passed in a blur of half-hearted job searches and recommendation letter requests. The financial industry was contracting everywhere, and positions at his level were scarce. Each rejection email chipped away at his already fragile confidence. One evening, about 2 weeks after the layoff, Helena sat across from him at their dining table, her expression thoughtful as she finished the last of her Cabernet. "I've been thinking," she began, setting her glass down with purpose. "This situation might be an opportunity in disguise." Matthias raised an eyebrow. "I'm having trouble seeing the silver lining in unemployment." "Hear me out. We've both been working crazy hours for years. Our home life has suffered. When was the last time we had a properly cooked meal that wasn't takeout? Or lived in a truly clean house without rushing around on Sundays to make it presentable?" She leaned forward, her enthusiasm growing. "What if, at least for now, you took over managing the household while I focus on my career? It would give you time to consider your next professional move carefully, and we could actually live like civilized people." Matthias frowned. "You want me to be a house husband?" "I want us to be practical. My salary can cover our expenses. You'd have time to decompress, maybe explore other interests or career paths, and we'd both benefit from having someone focused on making our home life more comfortable." She reached across the table for his hand. "It's just temporary, until you find the right opportunity." Reluctantly, Matthias agreed. It made logical sense, even if it challenged his traditional notions of his role in their marriage. Helena was thriving professionally, while his prospects remained uncertain. And, truth be told, their home could use some attention. The first week of his new domestic role was awkward but straightforward. He tackled basic cleaning, learned to operate their seldom-used washing machine, and attempted simple recipes he found online. Helena expressed appreciation for his efforts, even when dinner was slightly overcooked or the laundry emerged with colors bleeding into whites. You're getting better every day, she encouraged, after coming home to a surprisingly edible lasagna and somewhat orderly living room. I've noticed a real difference. Matthias had to admit there was something satisfying about creating tangible results. A clean kitchen, fresh sheets, a hot meal, after years of pushing digital numbers around spreadsheets. Still, he considered this arrangement strictly temporary. By the third week, Helena had begun making suggestions to professionalize his approach. I found these amazing organizational videos, she said one evening, pulling up a series of household management tutorials. And look at this cleaning system. It's so efficient. Before he knew it, Matthias was implementing color-coded storage solutions and learning proper dusting techniques. His initial haphazard approach gave way to methodical routines, and he found himself taking a strange pride in the results. 1 month into the arrangement, Helena came home with a large box, an enigmatic smile playing on her lips. I have something for you, she announced, placing it on the bed. A little surprise to make your work more authentic. Matthias approached the box with curiosity, wondering if she'd bought him some specialized cleaning equipment. When he lifted the lid, however, he froze. Inside lay a classic black and white French maid uniform, complete with a frilly apron, white stockings, and a small headpiece. He stared at it, then at Helena, trying to determine if this was her idea of a joke. You can't be serious, he said flatly. Helena's smile didn't waver. Actually, I am. I've been thinking, if you're going to do this job, why not embrace it fully? Besides, she added with a playful wink, I think it would be rather charming. Charming isn't the word I'd use, Matthias replied, closing the box lid. This is ridiculous. I agreed to help around the house, not dress up in costume. It's not a costume. It's a uniform. Professionals wear uniforms in many fields. Professional maids, maybe, which I am not. Helena sat beside him on the bed. Look, you've been doing the work anyway. The uniform just adds a bit of structure and formality to the role. Plus, she added, her voice softening, I think it might help you embrace this situation instead of seeing it as some temporary embarrassment. Matthias ran a hand through his blonde hair, sighing heavily. I'm not wearing a maid outfit, Helena. Just try it on. For me? If you absolutely hate it, we'll donate it. Her expression was so earnest, so genuinely hopeful, that Matthias found himself wavering. Their marriage had always been built on compromise and mutual support. She'd been carrying them financially without complaint, boosting his spirits through rejection after rejection. Just to try it, he conceded reluctantly. And no pictures. Helena clapped her hands together in delight. Deal. The bathroom door closed behind him with a sense of finality. Matthias stared at his reflection, wondering how his life had taken such an unexpected turn. Just over a month ago, he'd been presenting quarterly projections to company executives. Now he was about to put on a maid outfit to please his wife. The uniform was surprisingly well made, with proper boning in the bodice and quality material. It had clearly been expensive, which made refusing to wear it seem even more ungrateful. With a deep breath, he began to change, fumbling with unfamiliar fastenings and adjustments. When he finally emerged, Helena's face lit up. Oh my goodness, she breathed, circling him slowly. It fits perfectly. I knew it would suit your frame. Matthias shifted uncomfortably, feeling exposed despite being fully covered. The skirt brushed against his legs in an unfamiliar sensation, and the bodice created a suggestion of a feminine silhouette. I look ridiculous, he muttered, avoiding the mirror. Not at all, Helena countered. You look dedicated, professional. There's something very compelling about it. She adjusted the little white headpiece in his blonde hair. We should give you a work name. Something appropriate. A work name? This isn't a role-playing game, Helena. I'm serious. It would help create a proper separation between your personal and household management roles. She studied him thoughtfully. What about Aliyah? It means ascending, rising up, in Arabic. Perfect for someone taking on new responsibilities. Matthias wanted to object, but the look of genuine enthusiasm on Helena's face stopped him. This clearly meant something to her, perhaps more than he understood.
Aliyah,
he repeated dubiously. For how long am I supposed to keep this up? Let's start with when you're doing household tasks, Helena suggested. Think of it as putting on your professional hat, or in this case, your professional apron. The first day Aliyah performed household duties was profoundly uncomfortable. Matthias felt self-conscious in the uniform, constantly aware of the swish of the skirt against his legs and the snug fit of the bodice. Helena, however, was delighted, leaving for work with a cheerful, "Have a productive day, Aliyah." Over the following days, a strange transition began. Helena started giving more specific instructions about cleaning methods, walking him through proper techniques for everything from dusting crown molding to folding fitted sheets. She brought home books on household management and etiquette, placing them on his nightstand with suggested chapters highlighted. "The way you're holding that feather duster is all wrong," she said one evening, demonstrating a more graceful technique. "Here, watch me. The movement should be fluid, not jerky." Helena also began addressing him exclusively as Aliyah whenever he wore the uniform, which was increasingly often as she suggested he needed to stay in character to perfect his domestic skills. 2 weeks into the maid uniform experiment, Helena brought home a pair of low-heeled black shoes. "These will complete the look," she explained, presenting them as if offering a precious gift. "And they'll help you develop a more appropriate gait. You still walk like you're heading into a board meeting?" "Because that's who I am," Matthias protested. "A financial analyst temporarily doing housework." "A financial analyst who hasn't had an interview in 6 weeks," Helena pointed out gently. "Meanwhile, Aliyah is becoming quite accomplished. Your cooking has improved tremendously, and the house has never looked better." Reluctantly, Matthias accepted the shoes, surprised to find they fit perfectly. Helena must have measured his feet while he slept. The thought should have disturbed him, but instead, he felt a strange flutter of appreciation for her thoroughness. Learning to walk in even modest heels proved challenging. Helena spent an entire Saturday teaching Aliyah proper posture and movement, guiding him back and forth across their living room until his steps grew more assured. "Smaller steps," she instructed. "Shoulders back, chin slightly down. That's better. Now let's work on your voice." "My voice?" Matthias asked, stumbling slightly in the unfamiliar footwear. "Aliyah should speak softly, pleasantly. Your normal voice is too deep, too assertive for household service." Helena demonstrated the tone she wanted. Gentle, slightly higher pitched, with perfect elocution. "This is getting excessive," he objected, but found himself attempting the vocal modulation nonetheless. Helena's approval when he successfully softened his speech pattern brought an unexpected warmth to his chest. As days stretched into weeks, the boundaries between Matthias and Aliyah began to blur. He found himself automatically adopting the more graceful movements, the softer speech patterns, even when not explicitly performing household duties. Helena noticed and praised these changes, her eyes lighting up whenever she caught glimpses of Aaliyah showing through his everyday behavior. The job search gradually became secondary. Interviews were few and far between, and Matthias found himself relieved when they didn't lead to offers. The thought of returning to corporate spreadsheets and office politics held less appeal than it once had. Meanwhile, Helena's career continued to flourish. Her promotion brought new responsibilities and an expanded social circle of professional colleagues. She began mentioning dinner parties they might host, events where they could showcase their newly beautiful home. 2 months into the arrangement, Helena came home with another box. This one was larger, wrapped in elegant paper with a satin ribbon. "A reward for Aaliyah's progress," she announced, placing it on the dining table with ceremony. Inside was an expanded wardrobe, 3 new uniform dresses in varying styles, each more feminine than the original. One was pale pink with white trim, another robin's egg blue with delicate lacework, and the third a lilac color with a slightly more modern cut. All were unmistakably made uniforms, designed to emphasize a feminine silhouette. "These are for different occasions," Helena explained enthusiastically. "The pink for everyday cleaning, the blue for when we have casual guests, and the lilac for formal entertaining." Matthias, or Aaliyah, as he was increasingly thinking of himself during the day, ran a hand over the beautiful fabrics. "You've put a lot of thought into this." "I have," Helena agreed. "I think it's time we make this arrangement more official. You've proven yourself quite capable as our household manager, and my salary is more than enough for both of us now." She took his hands in hers, her expression serious. "I'm proposing we stop pretending this is temporary. You become Aaliyah full-time, and we embrace this new dynamic in our relationship." The suggestion should have shocked him, should have triggered immediate rejection. Instead, Matthias found himself considering it with a calmness that surprised him. The past weeks had brought an unexpected peace. The structured routine of household management suited him, and he had discovered genuine satisfaction in creating a beautiful, functional home.
"What would that mean, exactly?"
he asked, carefully. Helena smiled, clearly prepared for this question.
"It means we stop maintaining the fiction that you're going back to finance. We acknowledge that Aaliyah is now an integral part of our household, our home's caretaker and my support system. It means expanding your wardrobe beyond just work uniforms to include appropriate attire for all occasions."
"You want me to dress as a woman all the time?" The question came out without judgment, merely seeking clarification. "I want you to be Aaliyah all the time," Helena corrected gently. "The person you've been becoming these past weeks. Graceful, attentive, focused on creating beauty and comfort. The clothes are just an outward expression of that transformation." She squeezed his hands. "You're happier like this. I've seen it. No more stress about quarterly targets or office politics. No more bringing work tension home. You've bloomed in this role." The truth of her words resonated deeply. Matthias couldn't remember the last time he'd felt anxiety about performance reviews or lay awake worrying about market projections. His days had a clear purpose now, with tangible results he could see and touch.
"I need time to think about this,"
he said finally. Helena nodded, unsurprised. "Of course, but while you're thinking, I'd like you to wear the new uniforms. Get comfortable with them. See how they feel." The new uniforms did feel different. Lighter, more carefully tailored to his body. The pink one became his favorite, its soft color bringing a warmth to his complexion that the stark black and white had not. Helena noticed his preference and smiled knowingly. "Pink suits you," she observed. "It brings out the gold in your hair." His blonde hair had grown longer over the months of unemployment, now falling past his ears in soft waves. Helena had been encouraging him to let it grow, saying it complemented Aaliyah's delicate features. A week after presenting the new uniforms, Helena came home with yet another package. This one contained a complete set of women's undergarments, silky, practical items designed for daily wear, not sexual appeal. "These will help your clothes fit properly," she explained. "The foundations are essential." That evening, she helped him dress fully as Aaliyah for the first time, complete with proper undergarments. The transformation was subtle, but significant. The feminine foundation garments created a more convincing silhouette, and the uniform settled more naturally over his body. Looking in the mirror, Matthias hardly recognized himself. The person reflected back had soft blonde waves framing a face that seemed to have lost its angular masculinity. His posture had changed over weeks of Helena's corrections, shoulders slightly back, spine elongated, head held with gentle dignity rather than assertive confidence.
"What do you see?"
Helena asked softly, standing behind him.
"I see Aaliyah,"
he admitted, the name feeling right on his lips. Helena smiled, wrapping her arms around him from behind.
"She's beautiful, and she makes our home beautiful too."
The decision, when it finally crystallized, came not as a dramatic moment, but as a quiet acceptance of what had already occurred. One morning, Matthias woke up and realized he was mentally planning Aaliyah's day, which rooms needed attention, what to prepare for dinner, how to arrange fresh flowers for the entryway table. That evening, when Helena returned from work, he was waiting in the pale pink uniform, hair neatly styled, the house immaculate.
"I've decided,"
he said, in Aaliyah's soft, measured tones.
"I want to continue this arrangement, permanently."
The joy that spread across Helena's face confirmed he had made the right choice. She embraced him tightly, then held him at arm's length to study his expression. "Are you certain? This is what you truly want?" Aaliyah nodded. "I've never been more at peace. The house thrives under my care, and you thrive in your career. It's a balance that works for both of us." The transition accelerated after that conversation. Within days, Helena had arranged for Aaliyah's complete wardrobe. The masculine clothes disappeared from the closet, replaced by an array of feminine attire, pretty dresses, blouses, and skirts in pastel colors, along with appropriate shoes and accessories. "These are for when you're not actively cleaning," Helena explained, showing Aaliyah how to coordinate outfits. "You should always look presentable, even when running errands or relaxing at home." The last vestiges of Matthias faded as Aaliyah embraced her new identity fully. Her movements became naturally graceful, her voice settled into its softer register, and her mannerisms evolved to reflect her feminine persona. Helena guided this transformation with loving attention, correcting small details and praising improvements. "Your hands still move too directly sometimes," she would note. "Remember to add that little flourish when you're setting the table." Or, "When you sit, smooth your skirt beneath you first. Always be mindful of how the fabric falls." These lessons expanded beyond household duties to encompass all aspects of feminine deportment. Helena taught Aaliyah proper skincare routines and subtle makeup application, how to style her growing blonde hair, and the basics of accessorizing outfits. 3 months after Aaliyah's decision to embrace her new identity permanently, Helena announced her intention to host a small gathering of colleagues. "It's time to introduce you properly," she explained. "I've mentioned my wonderful household manager to several people at work. They're curious to meet the person who's created such harmony in our home." Aaliyah felt a flutter of nervous excitement. What exactly have you told them about me? Helena smiled reassuringly. That my spouse transitioned to a domestic role and discovered a true talent for it. That our household has never run more smoothly. That you've embraced traditional homemaking with dedication and flair. And about... Aaliyah gestured to her feminine appearance. I've been honest about your transformation. Most of them are quite intrigued. My director particularly. She's always been interested in unconventional relationship dynamics. The tea party was scheduled for the following Sunday afternoon. Aaliyah spent days preparing, deep cleaning every corner of the house, planning an elaborate menu of finger sandwiches and pastries, and arranging fresh flowers in the formal living room that was rarely used. On the morning of the event, Helena helped Aaliyah dress in the lilac uniform, the most elegant of the three, and styled her blonde hair in soft waves, secured with the formal headpiece. You look perfect, Helena said, adjusting the crisp white apron. They're going to be captivated. 4 women arrived at precisely 2:00. All were professionally dressed in the sharp, expensive styles of upper management. Helena greeted them warmly while Aaliyah waited in the kitchen, arranging the final touches on the tea service. When she emerged, carrying the silver tea tray, conversation momentarily paused. 4 pairs of eyes assessed her with varying degrees of curiosity and surprise. Ladies, this is Aaliyah, Helena announced proudly. The domestic marvel I've been telling you about. Aaliyah curtsied gracefully, exactly as Helena had taught her. Welcome to our home. I hope you'll find everything to your satisfaction. The oldest of the women, clearly Helena's director based on the deference the others showed her, studied Aaliyah with undisguised interest. Remarkable, she murmured. Helena has told us about your transformation, but seeing it in person is quite something. You seem completely natural in this role. Thank you, ma'am, Aaliyah replied, beginning to pour the tea with the precise movements Helena had drilled into her. It's become second nature now. The afternoon proceeded like a performance, with Aaliyah as both server and exhibit. She moved silently around the room, refilling cups, offering dainty sandwiches, anticipating needs before they were voiced. Helena beamed with pride at each perfectly executed service moment. The level of training is impressive, one woman commented, as Aaliyah presented a plate of lemon tarts. How long did it take to achieve this standard? Aaliyah is a quick study, Helena replied. She has natural grace that merely needed refinement. The real challenge was helping her let go of masculine assertiveness in favor of feminine deference. And are you happier this way? Another guest asked Aaliyah directly. Do you miss your former career? Aaliyah considered the question carefully, conscious of everyone watching her response. I find fulfillment in creating beauty and order, she answered truthfully. My days have purpose and rhythm. Helena's happiness is my primary concern now, and serving her career by managing our home provides deep satisfaction. The women exchanged glances, impressed by both the answer and the gently modulated voice that delivered it. Would you show us the rest of the house? The director requested. Helena has described your organizational systems in glowing terms. Aaliyah looked to Helena for permission, receiving a proud nod in return. She then led the guests on a tour, explaining her methods for maintaining each space. The women exclaimed over the perfectly arranged linen closet, the immaculate kitchen storage, and the meticulously organized dressing room. You've truly embraced this calling, the director remarked as they returned to the living room. It's refreshing to see someone find their authentic purpose, even when it defies conventional expectations. After the guests departed, Helena pulled Aaliyah into a tight embrace. You were absolutely perfect. They were enthralled. Margaret, my director, asked if you might consult with her household staff. Apparently, her own home lacks the precision and warmth you've created here. Aaliyah felt a flush of pride. I'd be happy to share my methods, if you think it appropriate. More than appropriate. It's an opportunity to expand your role. Helena's eyes sparkled with excitement. If you can systematize what you've learned, perhaps there's a niche for you. Training domestic staff for executives. You could maintain our home as your base of operations while offering your expertise to a select clientele. The idea was intriguing. A way to use her organizational skills and attention to detail without returning to the corporate world. A professional identity that aligned with her new persona rather than contradicting it. I'd like that, Aaliyah decided. It would be satisfying to help others create the kind of ordered beauty we enjoy. Helena beamed, cupping Aaliyah's face in her hands. You've come so far from that first reluctant day in the maid uniform. Look at you now, confident, purposeful, at peace with yourself. It was true. The journey from Matthias to Aaliyah had been unexpected, but the destination felt right. The person she had become was authentic in a way her former self had never quite managed. That night, as Aaliyah carefully hung up the lilac uniform and prepared for bed in her silky nightgown, she caught sight of her reflection. The blonde hair that now reached past her shoulders, the softened features that daily skincare had helped refine, the graceful posture that had become second nature, all created an image of serene femininity. There was no trace of Matthias left, not in the mirror, and not in her heart. Aaliyah had fully emerged, embracing a life built around creating beauty, order, and harmony. Helena entered the bedroom, her expression warm with love and pride. What are you thinking about? Looking so contemplative? Aaliyah turned from the mirror with a gentle smile. About how sometimes losing one path leads to discovering another that was meant for you all along. Do you ever regret it? The change? Not for a moment, Aaliyah answered truthfully. This is who I was meant to become. Helena crossed the room and took her hands. I knew from the first day I saw you in that uniform. You moved differently, held yourself differently, like something inside you had been waiting for permission to emerge. Perhaps that was true. Perhaps Aaliyah had always existed within Matthias, waiting for circumstances that would allow her to step forward and claim her rightful place. The corporate restructuring that had seemed like disaster had actually been the first step on a path to authentic happiness. The black and white uniform that had initially felt like a humiliation had become the key to unlocking a more fulfilling existence. Helena pulled back the covers, and they settled into bed together. Aaliyah automatically taking the position at Helena's side that felt most natural now, slightly curved toward her, subordinate but essential. Tomorrow we should begin planning your consultation business, Helena murmured sleepily. I'm thinking elegant business cards, a simple website. Aaliyah's household harmony, perhaps? Whatever you think best, Aaliyah replied, contentment washing over her. You've guided me perfectly so far. As Helena drifted to sleep, Aaliyah reflected on the strange, wonderful journey of the past months. From reluctant house husband to confident housemaid, from corporate ambition to domestic fulfillment, from Matthias to Aaliyah. The transformation that had begun as temporary accommodation had revealed a deeper truth about who she was meant to be. In losing his career, Matthias had ultimately found Aaliyah's calling, creating order from chaos, beauty from the mundane, and serving with grace rather than leading with authority. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, building a consulting business, perhaps training others in the art of proper household management. But whatever came next, Aaliyah would face it with the quiet confidence of someone who had discovered her true self in the most unexpected place. Behind a feather duster, beneath a frilly apron, within the structured rituals of domestic service. The last whisper of Matthias faded like a distant memory as Aaliyah closed her eyes, looking forward to tomorrow's duties with genuine anticipation. The transformation was complete, permanent, and perfect.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!